Welcome to Live with Thrive, the podcast dedicated to empowering Black and Brown women who are navigating the complexities of balancing womanhood, motherhood, and career. I am your host, Dr. Allison Harris Welcher, creator of Thrive Life Coaching. In each episode, we dive into uplifting conversations with trailblazing women who share their transformative journeys and powerful strategies for thriving in every area of life. If you're juggling a demanding career, family responsibilities, or aiming for personal growth, this podcast provides the inspiration and actionable insights you need. Join us as we celebrate the strength, resilience, and achievements of everyday Black and Brown women just like you. Together, we'll explore how to not just survive, but truly thrive in every aspect of your journey. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our 13th episode of Live with Thrive. I am so happy that you are here. As we get settled into the evening, I first want to invite all of our guests to first comment with the city and state that you are tuning in from. We would love to know who is joining us, so feel free on whatever platform you're on to please go ahead and let us know where you're tuning in from. We are streaming live on LinkedIn, on Facebook, as well as the YouTube page. So don't be afraid to let us know where you're tuning in from, but also please share with us. Please share the link with others as well. So go ahead and hit that share button so that others can join in this evening. Before we dive in, I want to be sure to continue to offer this valuable resource. I've been sharing it for the past few podcasts, but would you know, fall is upon us. And when fall comes, that means we are nearing the end of the year. Quarter four of 2024 will officially begin on October 1st, so just days away. And so, want to invite you to take a moment and to download this free guide to finish 2024 strong. You may feel like you've missed out on all of your goals for the year if you haven't gotten started, but I'm here to tell you there is still time to make some paveway here to reach those goals that you have. So download this guide, and there are some awesome resources that I want to share with you so that you can reach some of your goals before we enter 2025. So tonight, I am so thrilled to have Ashley Williams here with me. I'm going to bring her to the stage. All right. Hi, Ashley. Welcome.
Hi, Allison. How are you?
I am doing okay. Just okay. We are having all the technology issues. I am on the road traveling, but we're going to make it do what it do. And have a great conversation tonight. So
Yeah.
I've learned to give myself grace over time, but we're gonna make it work. So I'm so happy to have you here this evening. I want to just take a moment to introduce you formally to our audience, and then we'll jump right in to get to know you a bit better. Audience, Ashley Williams is a wife, a mother, and a senior leader at an education consulting firm. And in today's conversation, as you can see, our title is Striving for Balance Insights on Motherhood and Professional Growth. We're going to explore Ashley's journey in balancing a demanding career with the joys and challenges of motherhood. And we'll dive into how her career evolved with motherhood. She'll share some strategies, how she stays organized, and also just some personal reflections that she's had that have shaped her approach to success and growth. As Ashley and I were talking on the pre show, just prepping, one reflection that I had is when Ashley and I both met, we were beginning our careers at different stages, but nonetheless beginning our careers, and we were not yet mothers at that time. And we have since grown in our careers as well as into motherhood. So I'm excited to chat with Ashley and maybe talk a little bit about how our mindsets have changed a little bit over time around our work and how we approach life and success. So, Ashley, we're going to get started. Just have some few questions for you just to let the folks try to get to know you. What's one healthy habit that you've established that helps you to thrive?
Mm, I would say that ever since I brought my first daughter home from the hospital and, did bath time, thought it was bedtime, and her eyes popped open, I feel like nobody told me that, babies don't sleep at all.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I would say one habit that I'm really serious about is my sleep. I take sleep hygiene
Mhm.
very seriously.
Love that.
Um, I actually stole the sleep monitor, the noise monitor from the kids' bedroom. It is now in our. I have a mask. I have earplugs, chamomile tea, the whole nine. Sleep.
Oh,
I take it
wow.
very seriously.
Sleep hygiene. And if folks, y'all don't know, sleep hygiene, sleep routines are a real thing. And, I have
Absolutely.
struggled with sleep most of my adult life. So I probably need to put some new routines in place. I love that. I love that. What is your favorite way to rest and rejuvenate?
I would say reading. So I'm actually, I've loved reading books. And right now I'm making my way through all of Toni Morrison's books. I'm reading Song of Solomon right now. So yeah,
Ooh,
reading.
awesome. I love that. The Bluest Eye, I think, is one of my favorites. So
Mhm.
love that. And I know you are an avid reader. So I
Yeah.
love that you're maintaining that for yourself. What's one core value that you hold and why?
Mm. Wow, I have so many. The one that comes to mind is loyalty. So I'm really big on loyalty. And I think back to even our time working at Ranson and just how intense everything was and how high stakes it was for the kids. And I think about all the people that I've worked with there and just the experiences. It felt like that was when it really secured for me that loyalty was one of my true core values. Some of those people I work with even today.
Yes,
And I can
yes,
count on them. I'm like, I know that person. I know what they're about. So loyalty for me.
absolutely. I won't say much about that, but I'll just say if you know, you know.
You know.
You know. What's a recent victory that you are proud of?
Oh, wow. So for me, I would say personally, knowing that my daughter is reading 2 grade levels ahead is a huge victory for me. I feel like I spend so much time making sure that all kids, right, can
Yeah.
achieve high levels, but it's like, how are the kids in my house doing? And
Yeah.
when she started kindergarten last year, she was not. She was not where she needed to be.
Okay.
And so we hurriedly got her tutoring, put things in place, and she ended the school year reading 2 grade levels ahead. And so that just really made my heart warm, just knowing that, my kid is doing the thing. So, yeah.
Yes, I love that. Yes, mama. Let's celebrate that. That is a real thing for folks who know, we're educators, right? Like tried and true, started in the classroom teaching other folks' kids before we had kids.
Absolutely.
And other people's children were our children. Other people's children are still our children because we care about the growth and development of children. But you talk about our babies that we birth and
Right.
them being able to learn, that is amazing. So, Ashley, that brings me so much joy. As you know, I have a 3 and a 4-year-old, and we are embarking upon the process of school selection. And so,
Oh,
um,
good
it
luck.
helps to give me some hope of, I can do this. I can make sure my baby's gonna be okay too. So thank you. What's one activity or moment that brings you enjoyment and satisfaction?
Mm, sleep. I really love to sleep. I'm so serious. I feel like I dedicate so much to others that just finding a quiet moment is just absolutely essential. Resting, giving my body a break, listening
Yes.
to my body, knowing when it's time to close the laptop, step away from the computer. Um, that gives me a sense of enjoyment of knowing that I can take care of myself too. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, Ashley, thank you for giving folks a chance just to get to know you briefly. We're going to dive into some deeper questions, but for folks who maybe have just joined us a moment ago, again, want to invite you to download your free guide to finishing 2024 strong. There is still time to reach some of those goals that you've set for the year. And this guide gives you some tools, some reflection questions, and strategies to make sure that you do that. So, Ashley, let's go ahead and jump right in. I want to start by learning and really letting you share a bit more about your career and your transition into motherhood. What was your career when you first became a mother, and how did your career evolve as you balanced new responsibilities at home?
Yeah. So let's see. When I first became a mother, I was a district specialist in Charlotte working for the school system. And I remember when I interviewed for the job, it was before I got married.
Okay.
And so I interviewed for the job over the summer. I got married. Couple weeks later, I got the notice that I'd gotten the job and went on the honeymoon. And by that time, I was pregnant.
Yep.
I was like, oh
Yep.
my gosh, I have to
Yep.
tell these folks, like,
Yep.
hey, I'm here. I'm your new
Yep.
employee, by the way. And I was so nervous. I didn't know what to expect really. And I feel so blessed to have worked for some amazing leaders who are also mothers themselves. And they really just wrapped their arms around me and gave me such incredible support and really set the bar high for what it means to offer support to working moms,
Yeah.
being flexible schedule, really just understanding. I think they even came to the house to meet the baby at the time. And so that was just really meaningful for me of like, we care about you as a person. And so I transitioned to working for my current organization when my first daughter was about 15 months old, before she was really walking. And I started working in consulting. And so what this meant was, I'm going from this 9 to 5 office job to now I'm on the road, right?
Mhm.
I'm traveling to different cities. And at the time, this was before COVID.
Right.
Sometimes I knew when I was traveling, sometimes I did not. And so what that made me do is really pivot because I wanted to make sure that I was still very much being a supportive mother while also balancing this new element of my career. Again, really grateful to have worked with some amazing folks at that organization who said, you know what, we're going to be flexible. We're a flexible organization. We're an organization full of moms.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what that also meant was me really strategizing with my husband of like, what does it look like when I'm on the road, right?
Yeah.
I joke all the time that my husband is awesome. But
Mhm.
I wanted to make sure my baby looked cute for daycare. And
Right.
so
Right.
when I've traveled, I would put her outfit in little Ziploc bags from like,
Yep.
here's what she should be wearing today.
Yes.
And so just
Do
knowing
not
that I'm like,
deviate.
yes, these are all the things that she should have on. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I need
Yeah.
the stuff back from the daycare. Um, but just knowing that I had that support system at home and at work
Mhm.
was really meaningful. And then, of course, we had COVID where things changed yet again. Now
Yeah.
we're working from home and we have this toddler at home with us full time.
Mhm.
And so that meant another pivot, wanting to make sure that I'm being present and I'm teaching her and I'm paying attention to her. But also, she might make a Zoom call appearance every now and then.
Yeah.
And so, in all of those stages, it just makes me reflect on there's not one right way to do something. And the way that you mother right now might
Mhm.
change based
Yeah.
on the season of the career that you're in.
Yes.
Right. And so it looks different based on different circumstances. And just for me, knowing when to make a pivot in my mothering, knowing when, okay, things are heating up at work. I need to actually put these things in place so that I'm good.
Yeah.
Or, I need to focus on my kids right now. So I need to put these things in place at work so that I can really be present. And so for me, it's just having that awareness of, here's how I need to show up so that I can be well, so that my kids can be taken care of, and so that I can really be my best self all around.
Yeah, I love that so much, Ashley. So much of what you shared is true, especially about the seasons, right, of your career or the seasons of motherhood, and really that striking the balance, right? How some things you might have to focus on a little bit more or a little bit less, and how do you get whole in all of it?
Right.
The reality of it is, we hear it all the time. It's hard to run at 100 on career, on mothering, on being a wife, on being a good, whether it's a sister, daughter, friend. And so being able to navigate that and kind of switch gears as you need to is just so, so important. So I love that you shared that. I'm curious, Ashley, how did becoming a mother impact your career trajectory and professional goals? In terms of how you were seeing, like what you wanted to do for the future, and what were any of the significant changes or shifts in your career path as a result of becoming a mom?
Yeah, I think in many ways it amplified why I do the work that I do. And
Mhm.
so you mentioned previously, like working in education, especially K-12 education. Um, One of the reasons why I do this is specifically for the kids, right? And in the role that I'm working in, I'm impacting kids who I may not even know. I may not have met the kids that I'm impacting in
Right.
different states or cities. And so being a mother just made my mission way more personal,
Mm.
right? Because now it's not just impacting, kids, it's my kid, right?
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
might be impacted from the work that I do.
Yeah.
Really hoping that what I do goes into not only impacting, their education, but somebody else's education. And so it just
Mhm.
became way more personal of like, wow, my student, my kid might be sitting in that classroom
Mhm.
with that teacher. And so, okay, we got to make sure we get this right.
Yeah.
Because now it's like this is
It's
right
real.
at home.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I just think it really amplified my mission. I think that it made me more empathetic.
Mm.
Um, in many ways, it made me really just identify with all the mothers that I had worked with before,
Yeah.
and me thinking, wow, I can't believe I said some of those things or I did some of those things. And I have this realization of like, this is really hard being a mom. It's super hard, and it
Yeah.
just made me so understanding of everybody and their different circumstances. It just also just made me want to make my kids proud,
Yeah.
right? And so I think I've always been an ambitious person, and I think that is still very true. But the other day I was talking to my daughter, and she was like, so what do you do exactly?
Yeah.
And I was like, I work in consulting. She was like, "What does that mean?" I'm
Right.
like,
Yeah.
"Okay, now how can I explain this to her?" And
Yeah.
I told her, I was like, "I'm an assistant vice president for a company." She said, "A VP?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so just seeing that glow on her face of like, "Wow, I didn't know my mom does all these things." It just bring me a real sense of joy. So,
I
yeah.
love that. I love that, Ashley. And so it really sounds like, as you mentioned, becoming a mom really just amplified, right? You were already working in, as you mentioned, your mission, your passion. And so it just really made it bigger. And so it doesn't seem like it actually moved you in terms of a trajectory backwards in any way. In fact, I know personally that maybe not mother has propelled you, but as you said, it has really fueled you. And so one
Absolutely.
of the things Ashley and I talked about is that, before, we became mothers, we were, working with other mothers, and we were teaching other people's children and leading other people. And I could not agree more, the level of empathy, right? And the reflection that I've now had
Yeah.
around how in the world, the way I struggle, the way I
Listen.
um, was on the struggle bus as a mama, a new mama, during the pandemic at home. I didn't even have to get up and get dressed and take anybody anywhere. And to think the number of mothers, we honor you. For those of you we have worked
Absolutely.
with, we honor you, we respect you, we celebrate you. But it is fascinating, right, to consider, how ambitious we were prior to motherhood and the ambition post, while being a mom. And so I'm curious, how do you maintain focus and motivation on your career goals while juggling it all?
Yeah. That's a great question. I would say that juggling, that word is something that I think about all the time of like, wow, I can't believe that, I have two kids and I'm doing what I do. Um, and for me, I'm always trying to really make sure that I'm checking in with myself.
Mhm.
And so if things are getting a little busy at work or a little busy at home, I just try to make sure I'm checking in with myself and just being really honest about my capacity.
Yeah.
Um, I think that trying to juggle it all is something that I stopped trying to do
Mm,
because it became something that was too overwhelming of like, I'm expected to juggle all of these balls in the air at the same time. And
mhm,
realistically, that's just not possible, at least for me. And so I had to really set new standards of how I wanted to show up and what success looked like for me.
mhm,
And so really thinking about, you know, what will be a win for me today at work?
yeah.
And what would it look like for me to win the day with my kids? And then just taking it one day at a time and really stepping away from, I have to juggle and balance all this stuff. No, I don't. I have my husband, I have my family. Um, when all else fails, I can just turn off the lights, go sleep. I just kind of
Yeah.
stepped away from feeling like I have to take all of it on because I can't. So,
Yeah, yeah, that's real. The idea of putting down, right, the balls, right, to stop the juggling. I love that. I want to make sure we get to a few questions here before we close out. Staying organized, I think, is a gift of yours, certainly professionally. And I know that you've already shared, the outfits in, Ziploc bags. Tell us just a little bit about challenges you faced, staying organized across personal and professional, and then how have you addressed those challenges?
yeah, I would say even as recent as this year, our morning routine changed. Um, and that really had an impact on how I was showing up. Um, so getting out of the house with two children, taking them to two different schools, and then hopping on a Zoom call, presentable, ready to lead a meeting is tough.
Yes.
And so for the longest time, I would try to put things into place of like, okay, got to be out the house by this time, got to do this by this time, and then something always goes wrong, right? A baby starts crying, or somebody can't find their shoes, or things like that. And so I think even just speaking with you of like you
Yeah.
helping me to see, so what do you want your morning to look like? And I think I told you, I want to wake up at 4 a.m. I want to get on the treadmill and then I want to make breakfast. And you're like, so what can your morning actually look like?
Yeah, because you love
Um,
sleep, friend. Like,
right, right. And so um, one of the things that you helped me with was you said, find an example of somebody's morning routine
yeah,
that you would like to do. And I was like, okay, let me, Google this working mom morning routine. Surely I
yeah,
can conquer this. Okay.
yes,
And
yes,
I came across an Instagram account of this mom. She recorded all of her morning routines.
yeah,
And it was so fascinating to me. I was like, okay, do this, do that, do that. And one of the things that she mentioned was like, your morning starts at night, right? If
yeah,
you don't do what you're supposed to do at night with prepping clothes, with making sure shoes are good to go, with making sure you have a plan for things to go wrong, then you've already failed at the morning.
yeah,
And so I would say just finding examples of how I want to show up has been super helpful for me.
yeah,
I also live by my calendar. So once my children are successfully at their destinations, that calendar, I have a hold on my calendar for everything. I even have a hold on my calendar for my morning routine so that
yes,
people know I cannot meet during this time.
yeah.
You
I
have to
love,
schedule a meeting afterwards. I've
I love
gotten
it.
holds on my calendars to plan my week.
Yeah,
And just really thinking about, what's in my locus of control,
yeah.
and how can I plan for the things that I can plan for? So,
Absolutely, absolutely. Ashley, I love that you shared those very real practical examples. And, for folks who might be thinking, gosh, that's a lot. That's a lot of type A. That's a lot of organization. the headline of this all really is the fact that you know what brings you joy and what doesn't, and what can actually throw you off your game, right? Thriving is about knowing how you need to best show up. And you said you want to show up to your Zoom meetings looking presentable, like you got it together, and having had your cup of coffee and having breathe
Absolutely.
for a moment, you know? And so if that is something that's important to you, you have to set it up. Now, if you are fine showing up to that Zoom disheveled, and then by all means go do you. Don't put any
And
holes on
some
your
days that's
schedule.
me. Some days.
And it'll be that some days, right? But all of this really is about is getting really clear about what does thriving mean for you as an individual, and how do you create, really that lifestyle and the systems and structures that create that. So I love that you shared that, and that was a beautiful. I remember that coaching conversation with you, and you were like 4 a.m. And I was like, well, tell me a little bit more, because you like sleep. But I'm grateful to hear that you have gotten to a place where most mornings, you are feeling like you are starting your day in a way that feels good to you, which is huge. In our prep for the call, you talked a bit about, how important it was to lean on others, and you've shared a little bit about how amazing your husband is and how supportive he is. Talk with us just a little bit about, asking for help, and
Mm,
how that helps to support this striving for balance.
yeah. So for me, I think that it's not necessarily the act of asking for help. Sometimes I get so inundated with everything that's going on a day-to-day basis, I may not even realize I need help.
Yeah.
Right. And so
Mhm.
what I've had to do is to really think about the times where I definitely needed help, and were there any signs that I
Mhm.
needed help, and
Yeah.
then checking in with myself to reflect of like, okay, are any of those pink flags showing now? Is now the time to ask for help before it gets way too, much? And I'm just like, I throw my hands up, I can't take it.
Mhm.
And so that's been really helpful for me, just listening to my body, making sure that I check in with myself and knowing, now's a good time to ask for help. I don't want to wait until the very last minute. I'm
Mhm.
aware that, if I have dishes in the sink, that probably means I need some help.
Yeah.
Okay. If
Yeah.
I cannot get to those dishes, that
Yeah.
is a reflection of what's happening.
Yeah.
And that's an indicator for me. Let me go ahead
Yeah.
and ask for some help, so that I can make sure that I show up the way I need to show up.
I love that. I love that. And asking for help is, I love what you said. It's a sign of knowing where you are and being self aware. You've used this language of checking in for yourself. And so for folks, like, that just means like being self aware, right? Understanding, sitting with yourself, and all right, how am I feeling mentally, emotionally, physically? Are there other indicators visually that you can see that are showing, okay, something is off here? So I love that. Love that. Ashley, as we begin to close out, I'd love just for you to share any final thoughts that you have just about, how Black and Brown women can strive toward thriving in womanhood, motherhood, and career.
Yeah, I think it's really important that we I know that we want to show up and, be excellent and be perfect, but the ideal is that perfection just doesn't exist. And the sooner that, that I personally said, that is not something I'm going to strive for. What I am going to strive for is doing my best in each moment. That is when it kind of clicked for me of
Yeah.
like, yeah, you can have this wonderful career. You can, be a great mother and be a great wife. When you think about how you want to in this moment, not
Yeah.
what you see on TV, not what you see in, on the media, but it's really thinking about what does being great or what does striving for success look like for you? And that's going to
Yeah.
be different for everybody. And so for me, it's just letting go of that idea of perfection and just being.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it, Ashley. Ashley, thank you so much for this conversation. It is always a joy just to reconnect with you and just hear the wonderful things you're doing as a mom, as a senior leader, and striving and thriving. Audience, please take a moment to celebrate Ashley. Ashley, I know you can't see the comments, but I do believe we got a few folks from Louisville tuning in. I dare say your mother and father. So I know they are very, very proud. But thank you all for joining us this evening. And again, please celebrate Ashley for just sharing some great tips with us. Thank you, Ashley.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you. Again, thank you for joining us for our 13th episode of Live with Thrive. I continue to be grateful for you all tuning in. I invite you to please be sure to like, follow, and share Live with Thrive on all of the platforms, including LinkedIn. We are also on Instagram. We are also on Facebook and a YouTube channel. Again, thank you so much for joining, and we hope you have a wonderful evening. Good night.